Hey guys, how you doing? This is Paul, and I've been using the brand new iPhone 7 for about 2 days now, so this is my review after 48 hours. Now, I've been an Android user for many years now, so I thought switching to iPhone and iOS might be a bit of a challenge, but so far, my experience has been pretty good. So if you take a look at the iPhone 7 from the front, it's actually pretty much identical to the iPhone 6 and 6S, which is okay. I would have liked a little bit more of a design change, but that's personal preference. But you've probably heard by now that the home button no longer clicks, and instead it uses a force click like the trackpad on some of the recent MacBooks. So it definitely feels a little different and might take some getting used to, especially if you've been using an iPhone for a while. It kind of feels like more of a vibration of the bottom half of the phone than an actual click, and you're able to change the vibration or clickiness of the button in the settings. Besides that, the button doesn't really add anything functionality-wise to the phone, and I guess they just changed it to make the phone more waterproof, but I could see some really cool features being implemented with the button in the future. Also, Touch ID is pretty much the same as last year. It's super fast and very accurate. And if you take a look at the bottom of the phone, you'll see another one of the few design changes, which is the removal of the headphone jack. And this has gotten a ton of attention over the last few weeks. A lot of people have been criticizing Apple for this decision, but again, it's not a huge deal for me. I never really listen to music a lot on my phone, and if you do, Apple's included a lightning to audio adapter in the box. I think that I'm one of the few people that actually agree with Apple's move here. The phone probably wouldn't be as waterproof if it had the headphone jack, and it saves room in the phone for other components. Flipping the phone over, you'll notice the antenna bands no longer cut across the middle of the phone. Instead, they kind of wrap around the top and bottom, which makes everything look a little cleaner. And you'll also see the camera component is much bigger than last year. And speaking of the camera, it's fantastic. It's got a 12 megapixel sensor with an f1.8 aperture, and it records 4K video at 30 frames per second, 1080p at up to 120 FPS, and 720p at up to 240 FPS. Images look incredible. They've got good colors with great dynamic range and sharpness, and the optical image stabilization on the video recording is also outstanding. Video is super smooth and crispy without getting any weird stabilization effects that some phones struggle with. And possibly my favorite change in this year's phone is the addition of the front-facing speaker. So now the top speaker on the phone that's normally only used for calls acts as a front-facing speaker for all audio to create a somewhat stereo sound with the combination of the speakers that were already on the bottom of the phone. This is something the iPhone has been lacking for years, and it really makes a huge difference because you'll no longer have to cup your hand around the bottom of the phone to hear what's playing. Also, the sound is able to get really loud and the quality is pretty good, so it's definitely a big improvement from all previous iPhones. The phone is now IP67 certified, meaning that it's now water resistant up to 1 meter for up to 30 minutes. I haven't tested this out yet, but I have put it under the sink and in a glass of water, and it still works just fine. I'll leave a link to Harris Craycraft's video in the description below, where he actually goes swimming with the phone, and again, nothing breaks or anything, and the phone is perfectly okay. And finally, the last big difference on the iPhone 7 is the Apple A10 Fusion chipset inside this thing that makes it incredibly fast. I'm not going to go too in-depth here because there's probably tons of videos with in-depth speed test and analysis, but what you really need to know is that this phone is really, really fast. I've yet to experience any slowdowns or lag even for a second, and I'll be sure to let you guys know if it ever does slow down over on my Twitter page @PaulinTech. But just as a comparison, the iPhone 7 did score over twice as high as the 2-year-old model, the iPhone 6, on the Geekbench tests. Apple says the iPhone 7 has a wide color display, but honestly, I haven't really been able to tell the difference over the older models, but it still looks good, but I just wish they had upgraded it to a 1080p display. They also say the battery life is about 1 to 2 hours longer, but I haven't been able to fully test this out yet because I've only been using it about 2 days. So other than that, the iPhone 7 isn't a huge change over last year's iPhone 6S. It's got a slightly different design, no headphone jack, and some might hate that, but it doesn't bother me. A front-facing speaker for the first time. It's got a new home button and a slightly better camera, and it's super fast and waterproof. So whether those changes make it worth it to upgrade is up to you, but personally, if I had the iPhone 6s, I would say to stick with it, but if you have the older iPhone 6, it's probably worth the upgrade and you'll really enjoy the new features. So let me know what you guys think of the new iPhone in the comments down below and what model phone you're currently using. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for some more content coming soon. Thanks!